Oh, okay.
A few moments later.
Well, hi. I could have gone smoother. What's going on, man? I ain't seen me in a little minute. But welcome back to the Lazy Cats. I'm your gracious host, Jalen. Um, as you can see, if you watched on Saturday, uh, with the bow, Alex Pereira v Jamal Hill, Shang Wei Li v Yan Showing, Max Holloway, Justin Gaethje, UFC 300 happened. Phenomenal. Um, Part of the title, maybe a little bit clickbaity, maybe how I genuinely feel. It's a little bit of both. But nevertheless, I'm here to talk about and just essentially recap UFC 300, what happened, my thoughts. And also, if you did not catch the press conference, including Dana White and some of the other fighters, mainly the Dana White part, because this is where we got some very exciting news of future fights with future cards involving UFC 301. I mean, not involving UFC 301, involving UFC 302 and 303. So if you fuck with me, you fuck with your boy. I'm so glad I did not put this on because this would have broke even more than it already is. But if you fuck with your boy, go ahead, leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn on the post notice. I don't say that enough. Now that I think about it, I don't say that nearly enough. But yeah, go ahead, do that, do those great things. I love you guys. Thank you. But moving on, Alex Poatan Pereira probably can't be stopped. And this man beat Jamal Hill again. And I feel bad because when I was recording, what was it? When I was recording for my awards predictions, I was tempted to do a prediction for UFC 300, but I feel like I did predictions for a while ago and I just didn't remember. Turns out I did, but I don't think the card was fully fleshed out as it is now or as it was on Saturday. So probably should have just ended up doing like an updated prediction thing. That was on me. But going into this fight, I did have a certain Jamal Hill. Let me not say winning. I didn't have Jamal winning the fight, but I did want to see Jamal win. Not because I don't like Alex or anything like that, but I just really wanted to see some like variety in this thing. But then again, dominance from a certain person can also be very, very, very flipping exciting. And that's what Alex Pereira has been on. Obviously, before this fight, he beat Yuri Prohaska, and some people still to this day argue that Yuri wasn't asleep, that Yuri was still up, and that it was an early stoppage. When the man himself, and I don't understand why people do this, when fighters or athletes themselves contradict what you as a fan or what you hear from other fans saying, like, hey, I was knocked out. Fell asleep. He got me. End of story. And you still have fans saying, "Oh no, Yuri was still up." You're niggas are stupid. But moving on. After this fight, in the the post fight interview? Um, Alex went on to alluding to going up to heavyweight, wanting to fight in Brazil. He literally took zero damage. Scratch that. He took one kick to the nuts, pushed off Herb Dean, was like, Herb, move, nigga. Boom. Sent Jamal to the Shadow Realm. It was amazing. The whole card, the whole fight, everything from start to finish was amazing. Again, I'll get more into the card later, as a whole. But the fucking card was amazing, bro. Yeah, and this fight, this fight was so, I don't even want to say average, but it was so like compared to the fight that I'm about to talk about in a second with the Max Holloway fight and the Justin Gaethje fight. That was easily fight of the night. That was easily performance of the night. That was easily the moment of the night, as I guess you can say. And it really just, it was hard to follow that up. Being Zhang Weili, who put up a really good performance against Jan as well. And then Alex Pereira, who also put up a solid ass performance against Jamal Hill. And it just felt like, damn, nothing will ever top that moment. And all in all, it was a very, very good fight. Now, for Alex moving forward, again, he alluded to going up to heavyweight to fight Tom Aspinall, alluding to wanting a fight in next month in Brazil, which again, because he took essentially zero damage that fight. He took literally no damage that fight. Won fairly easily. He, outside of Ankalaev in light heavyweight, there's really no one else for him to fight at 205. People obviously you would probably want to see for a number one contenders match. I guess for that fight, you could probably see a Yuri versus Jamal Hill again. I think that would be a really fun match. But then again, you have to look at, well, what do you do with Ankalaev? And he's kind of in that Banal Muhammad type of realm where it's like he should be the number one contender. He is the number one contender, but it's like no one really wants to see this nigga fight. No one really wants to see this nigga fight because he's either boring, can't talk, or both. And he just so happens to be all three. So, and it doesn't help that he had a chance to be the light heavyweight champion when he fought, who was it, Jan? When he fought Jan not too long ago, and the fight ended in a fucking draw. This was after Jamal Hill relinquished his belt due to, I think it was an injury once he relinquished the belt. Yeah, no, I don't think a lot of people want to see him fight. And even then, Ankalaev commented on Alex Pereira, essentially saying, Alex ain't going to wrestle, so I'm not going to fucking wrestle. We seen what that has gotten his past 3 people that have fought him. 4 if you want to fucking count Izzy. No, 3 if you want to count Izzy. Knocks out Jamal. Knocks out Yuri. Fucking barely beat Jan, but even then, he was tagging the fuck out of Jan. And then if you even want to count Izzy before Izzy won, he knocked the fuck out of Israel Adesanya. Why do people want to continuously stand with this nigga? I will never understand that. The only person that has done the quite opposite and was almost successful to beating him was Jan. Other than that, everyone that has tried to stand with this nigga and Izzy as well, because Izzy just said, fuck it, play possum and then knocked his ass out. However, everyone else that has tried to stand with this nigga, Sean Strickland got knocked out. Jamal Hill recently just got knocked out. Yuri Prochazka got TKO'd. I don't understand what is the fascination of trying to stand with a world-class kickboxing champion. Why? What possessed you to be like, these other niggas have tried to do this shit that I want to do. Fuck it, they can't do it like me though. What are you doing? I've never understood that. And again, I think the only person that can really do this shit successfully is probably Jon Jones. Because if you really want to think about it, the last time Jon Jones fought someone that was like super, super good was probably DC. And what did he do? Out wrestle DC. He's like one of the few people that I can really think about and be like, you know what? I'm gonna beat you at your game. And I think so many fighters, so many athletes are hell bent on being like, I want to beat Alex at his game. I want to knock Alex out, and I don't understand why. because he has a glaring weakness. Wrestling. And the thing is, at 205, there aren't that many wrestlers as it is. Yuri Prohaska really isn't a wrestler. He got a lucky ass submission on Glover Teixeira, which probably almost didn't land. Jamal Hill's not that much of a wrestler either, and Ankalaev, again, also not that much of a wrestler. So, to their point, there aren't that many wrestlers at 205 to begin with. But still, at least try. At least try. Because then if that doesn't work, if he just stuffs all your takedowns, it's like, fuck it, I have no choice. We're just going to throw hands. And I'm probably going to lose, but I'm going to get mine. Obviously, it didn't happen. But nevertheless, Alex has talked about wanting to go up to heavyweight. And I don't know why I clicked that over. If we look at the heavyweight standings real quick, if we look at the heavyweight division really fast, we see a certain man by the name, move that out the way. We see a man by the name of Jon Jones. However, Jones is not fighting because he is still injured. And even then, when he fights, he is hell-bent on fighting Stipe Miocic. So who's next best in line? None other than the interim champ, probably the fighter that has the best chance against, outside of probably Jon Jones, against Alex Pereira, against a Poatan, would be a Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall, the bigger fighter, stockier. I would obviously still give the stand-up game to Alex Pereira. But even then, if God forbid the stand-up game needed to come to that, I think Tom's chin could hold his own. Hopefully, maybe we'll fucking have to see if this fight does happen. However, I don't know, man. I really don't see no other options for him again outside of Ankalaev, who would be the next contender for him to fight at light heavyweight. And even then, I don't think people really want to see that fight. I don't think people really want to see that fight happen. I'm kind of one of those people. I really could care less about seeing Ankalaev fight Alex Pereira. Even though he is kind of the number one contender, I just feel like it would be the repeat of what we've been seeing for the past two fights of Alex's reign as light heavyweight champion. They're going to talk shit leading up to the fight. Ankalaev is going to just preach about how he's going to knock out Alex. He's going to knock out Alex. I'm going to knock out Alex. I'm going to not wrestle with fucking Alex Pereira, who can't wrestle. And then get their ass proceed to get slumped. And then we're back in this endless cycle again. Oh, he hit harder than I thought. Oh, I probably should have wrestled. Oh, now we're looking for a new fighter for Alex. Give him time. Fuck it. Give him time. Now, are they going to give him time next month at 301? Probably not. I think the UFC low-key could squeak it in because that card is already weak. That card is kind of weak as it is. So I don't think, personally, I don't think it would be a bad thing, but that card is already kind of weak as it is, but is also done. Like the card is finalized because it's happening next month on the 4th. Like not even next month. That card is happening in like a couple weeks, like 2-3 weeks. So again, it will be interesting to see what the UFC does because again, Alex is Brazilian. He would love to fight in front of his home country, hometown, home whatever, in front of his people. And what better challenge to give him than the heavyweight champ? So I think the UFC, obviously the biggest thing would just move one of the main card fights down to the prelims and just somebody's probably gonna have to get cut. But if they don't want to do that, then realistically, you can have this card, you can have this fight be the co-main at 303. And that goes into later. If, Tom doesn't fight by then or if, they don't find something for him to do by then. Because there's already a co-main for 302. with, again, I'm gonna get into the future cards later. But I would say if they can't put it at 301, make it the co-main for 303. I think that's a perfect solution in my opinion. But nevertheless, we'll see. Alex Pereira, big ups to you, big ups to him. Again, I wanted Jamal Hill to win just because I like Jamal. He's a cool dude. He's fun. And also, he's a very solid fighter. He strikes very well. And it just so happens that he just got caught. He just got caught, man. It is what it is at this point. But I think the next fight for him to make would be him versus Yuri. I think that's the fight to make. Going forward, it would be 100% just give him Yuri. That can essentially be the number one contenders fight, or if Alex loses and doesn't get the heavyweight belt, then he has Jamal, Yuri, and Ankalaev to pick between. So I think it'll be fun. And if he does win it, hey, you gotta have that decision. Is he gonna stay at heavyweight, or is he gonna try to defend both? So I think that would be interesting to see. But again, Alex is at this point where he realistically, the UFC is just give that nigga whatever the fuck he wants and figure it out and make it see it happen. Kind of like this man right here, Max flipping Holloway. Goodness gracious. When I tell you this man, the moment of the year, honestly, the true co-main event, the true co-main event of last night. And again, this is no shade to Zhang Weili because she performed amazingly. That co-main event was also very fucking fun. But God, man. I can't really show the video. Fuck it, I might show the video of him getting knocked out. Because, dude, when I tell you, first off, big ups to Justin Gaethje because he had essentially everything to lose in this fight. It was at lightweight. It was at 155. Justin, after just knocking out Dustin Poirier for the BMF belt, was on top of the world. Essentially was in Max's position, was on top of the world, was a number one contender spot. Let me not say number one contender, but essentially was still fighting for a title, and he still currently is. He had everything to lose. It was a lose-lose situation for him. And I gotta you gotta tip your hat off to that man, Justin, because he put a lot on the line for this fight. Against a featherweight dude who was coming up 10 pounds, which isn't a lot for Max. Max has fought at lightweight and featherweight and shit like that. But even still, putting up essentially his belt, his status, his contending status, all that shit, put all that up on the line just for the fans, just for UFC 300. And you got to feel for him. You have got to feel for him. So again, big ups, hats off. And I think they both got 300K. Obviously, Max walks away with 600K because he got performance of the night and fight of the night. But I think Justin also walks away with 300K too. So shout out Justin Gaethje, man. Shout out him. Moving on to Max. Oh boy, where do I begin? Max Holloway, Max freaking Holloway. That man, Max Holloway, has the UFC in the palm of his freaking hands right now. Obviously, if you did not see the fight, if you did not see the event as a whole, or if you just haven't seen this one clip or this one moment from this one fight happening over and over and over and over and over again, Max dominating the fight, mind you. He was up, I would say, 3-1 to Gaethje going into the fifth round. Everything to lose. Again, both of these men had a lot to lose in this fight. in particular with Max in the finals couple seconds. So Gaethje, who's still a powerful last puncher. Max in the press conference, I believe, was saying that in that final exchange that they had with a couple like 9 seconds left, Justin was just missing shots. But because he punches so hard, the wind from the misses was hurting him. So like you punch so fast that the aftershock is hurting his face, and still managed to dodge, duck, weave, and still get that final KO over Justin Gaethje. Now, Max in his his post-fight interview, pointed directly to Ilya and said, "You next." Now, if we can't make that Alex and Tom Aspinall fight happen for the co-main event, that is the co-main event you make happen. I don't give a flying fuck. That is the co-main you make happen, barring any injuries, barring, Max's leg was beat to all hell, and he had a couple swellings on his face. But like I said, that is, if you can't make the Tom Aspinall and the Alex Pereira fight be the co-main for 303, Max Holloway, Ilya Topuria, that is the co-main event. Either one of those two co-main events, I'm perfectly fine with. Fuck it. Put both of them on the same card. Let's make it happen. Everybody be on the card. Fuck it. My man, no. Listen. That card again, that fight again was phenomenal. And I say that card was so amazing. This card was so amazing. It was so phenomenal. It was just from start to finish, it was amazing. It was moment after moment after moment. It was really only one dull fight, and that was the Aljo fight. But even then, that was against a high caliber dude who was just purely a striker who just doesn't wrestle. So Aljo used this advantage. I'm fighting a dude that can't wrestle, that's very fast, that literally the last time we seen him fight, he fought Max Holloway, and it was a close-ass fight. And he looked good in that fight. And Aljo, even Dana White himself said he made Calvin Kattar look slow. So that's just like, damn. Outside of that fight, the rest of the card was phenomenal. But back to Max. Like I said, he's in the position where he can do anything, ask for anything, get anything he wants, strictly based off this moment. You may be thinking, well, that doesn't seem fair. That is 100% fair. Max Holloway has been one of the best UFC fighters really for a very long time now. And the thing is, he is only 32 years of age. He is still technically in his prime. Hell, you can make an argument that he's just now entering his prime. So, like it's again, the fight for him, I think obviously he set it out 1,000% would be for him to fight Ilya Topuria for the featherweight championship. Would be for the featherweight championship at, I'm hoping 303, because that would be a crazy co-main event. But whenever they can make that fight happen, that would obviously be the fight to make, whether it be the main event, co-main event, whatever the case may be. That is the next fight to make. For Justin, this is interesting for the simple fact of I don't know where you go with Justin here, because there were some other lightweights that also lost, and one by the name of Charles Oliveira, which essentially was the number one contenders fight for whether or not Charles will go on to fight Islam, or we would have another certain person that would go in and step in for that fight. So I think, and then you have Arman Tsarukyan, who also won, was the one that beat Charles. It's very interesting, man. It's very interesting. Just for the simple fact of you really got to see what's next for Gaethje, because he's damn near beat everyone in the lightweight division. and he's damn near fought everybody in that said lightweight division. So I don't know. It is very interesting to see what they'll do and what they're gonna do going forward for Justin. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. Hey man. Hey man, run it back. Run it back. Run that shit back. Hey, run that shit back, man. Run it, run that shit back, man. You might have to, honestly, because with the future card that we got, we have Dustin taking on Islam next. Arman is essentially going to be next in line, depending who wins that fight, whether it be Islam or Dustin. Arman is honestly next in line. My money is going to be on Islam. I think he'll win that fight, but nevertheless, they already have history, so I think that would be the fight next to make if Islam wins. Now, if Dustin wins, you're probably going to see a rematch. I'm not going to lie. Probably going to see a rematch, but who knows? What you do with Justin, I'm not going to hold you, man. Give him Charles. I can book, nigga. Give him Charles, man. Give him Charles, man. Fuck it. Give him Charles, man. Who gonna be next in line after Arman? We gotta see. Because ain't nobody else really down here. Chandler's gonna be fighting Connor. Dariush can't beat nobody inside the top 5 unless you put him against Gamrot and be like, fuck it, this is a for top 5 positioning. Cool, go crazy. Fiziev lost to Justin. Max Holloway, who was not ranked, jumped all the way up to 9 after beating Justin. So if we really want to, you know what I'm saying, Charles, we got a number 9 guy that we think you would love to fight. Give Charles Max after Ilya. If he, hey man, if he loses to Ilya, which is looking very unlikely, but if he loses to Ilya and he comes back up to lightweight, Max versus Charles, he's in that number 9 spot. Fuck it, man. Make it happen, coach. Make that shit happen, coach. Man, I'm just saying. But no, all jokes aside, I think Justin and Charles will be the next fight to make. I think that would be the next logical fight to make. Because essentially that's like because who else would he fight in this division? You just be Dustin. Really, anybody outside of the top 5 doesn't really make that much sense. Not gonna fight Dariush. Chandler's already booked. He just beat him. He just lost to him. Anybody else outside of that makes 0 sense. So yeah. Yeah, man. We might see Justin versus Charles again. And I'm here for it. I'm here for it, baby. Make it happen, coach. Make that shit happen, man. I'm here for it. I'm here for it, man. Make that shit happen, man. But make that shit happen, coach. Uncle Dana. Dana, man. Go on. I'm here. I'm here for the free ski, man. Just give me a couple tickets, man. Give me a couple tickets. I'll be cool, man. I'll book the rest of the UFC events if you need me to, man. Fuck it. Let's make this shit happen, coach. Let's make it happen. But moving on for the rest of the UFC 300. Again, like I mentioned, Zhang Weili defended her title in a 5-round unanimous decision against Yan Xiaowan. And this was a very close fight. The fight low-key should have been over with after the first round because she was out after what submission hold did she have her in? I believe she had her in it wasn't a rear naked choke. Was it a rear naked choke? I believe it was actually a rear naked choke. That's gonna hurt me. But yes, she was out after the first round. The first round should have been kaput, should have been over with. And I believe also in the third round, she had her in was it a third or fourth round? Fourth round was it? It was the first, I think it was the first 2 rounds. I think she should have been gone. Yan should have been out of there, but she held her own at the heart of a champion, kept her composure, was very good, looked very solid in that fight. Her stand-up game, she was tagging the fuck out of Zhang. Oh My goodness, she was piecing the fuck up out of Zhang Weili. She was beating her ass. It's just that her takedown game is just non-existent, and also she got gassed. Also, like by like the third or fourth round, she was gassed. Yan was gassed, and that's where that championship pedigree, that championship experience, really started to kick in and show. And I would say, outside of I think maybe the third round, you could say Yan won. Other than that, Zhang was pretty much dominant. Again, this this fight coming after this fight, it made it seem like this fight was ass, but I guarantee you this fight was also really fucking good. But before that, like I mentioned, we had Charles losing to Arman Tsarukyan, and again, this was another solid fight. This was another solid fight. Arman won by split decision. I low key felt like it probably should have been unanimous. I thought it should have been a little bit unanimous, but the submission attempts that this man had Arman in, and he was able to survive. I'm surprised his neck is still attached. He had him in a full guillotine, locked in. I'm talking locked. If you want to look at think of an example, think of when Brian Ortega had Volk in that bitch locked the fuck in, and Volk just slipped his little bald head through and just continued fighting. Think of that, but 6 times more, because he had him in a couple submission attempts. All 4, he slipped out, and they were tight. I mean, you could see the veins on top of veins on top of veins popping out on Charles trying to get him to tap out. And Arman did not want to tap out. So again, this was a very good fight leading up to obviously fight of the night, but this is a very good fight. Shout out to Arman. Again, big Charles guy, but you hate to see him lose. He looked competitive. He can obviously still hang with the younger guys. He can still hang with the up and comers, but just couldn't get the job done. Nevertheless, like I mentioned, give him Gaethje. Give the losers to each other, man. Gaethje, man, once you healed up and ready to go, we got some lined up for you. Go fight Charles, buddy. Go fight Charles, buddy. Go fight that nigga. And also, this shouldn't have been on the main card. I'm not gonna lie. This should have been on the fucking main card, but I digress. Bo Nickal beats Cody Bungridge by, I believe, by rear naked choke. And Bo Nickal gave a big thumbs down, said his performance wasn't the greatest. Nevertheless, a win is a win in my opinion. Win is a win. And Bo, he's still, I believe, 5-0 now, 6-0 now. Still got a long way to go in that middleweight division. And even if you want to look at some middleweight stack, eventually he might be going up against pretty soon. Yeah, I would say he has quite of a ways. I think, give him about, give him 3 more fights. I think we might see him crack, into that top 15, maybe even top 10 range. Let me not say top 5, but top 15, top 10 range. We might see Bo Nickal crack up in that bitch. So yeah, shout out Bo Nickal, big win. Yuri Prochazka. Now, big year, the biggest of year, man. Hey, man, he like that, coach. He's like that. Nah, but this should have been on the main card. This should have kicked off the main card, and Bo Nickal should have been on the prelims. Nevertheless, this was an amazing fight. Also won him an extra $300K in his pocket for winning performance of the night, with also on top of Max Holloway, who won it as well. His chin, if it's not Alex Pereira punching him, his chin, no one else is sleeping this man. I'm convinced. This man's chin has got to be made of vibranium. One of the most unconventional, unorthodox strikers I've ever seen in my life. He punches like he's never thrown a punch before in his life. He kicks like he's never used that part of his body before, like he's just learned how to throw his legs, just learned how to walk. But yet, nevertheless, Yuri Prochazka has always prevailed. Rakic also, just looking at him, you can just tell this man has some power, and he had a lot of power behind a lot of his shots. I mean, damn near all his shots had an absurd amount of power. And there was one where he had caught him like a right hook, and Yuri just stumbled, looked at him, and then just walked forward, I would have been losing my fucking mind if I'm Rakic. I'm like, no fucking way, because that sleeps about 90% of the rest of the UFC, let alone the light heavyweight division. And he just walked that shit off like it was nothing. So, and even if we want to look at targets, a lot of his targets was aiming for the head. His legs also, Rakic was piecing up Yuri's legs. His left leg was gone already after like the first 2 minutes of the first round. Kicked him twice in his leg, already had a huge welt on it, and he was just walking and stomping on it like nothing fucking happened. So yeah, Yuri Prochazka, if it's not Alex Pereira punching him in the face, he's probably not going down. So shout out to Yuri. Again, the fight to make for him, I think you would just give him Jamahal Hill. I think that would be a good, essentially number one contenders match to make. At this point, I think you would give him Jamahal Hill and just let them two have at it. I think that would be a really fun fight to have. Now with the, again, shout out to Aljo, man. He's undoubtedly one of my favorite fighters, especially when he had the belt, even when he was fighting Sean. I didn't think he was going to beat Sean, but I thought it would have been a lot closer than it was. Aljo, man, he's one of the most underappreciated, underrated fighters in all of the UFC, probably ever. People just hate him, and people have hated him since Peter Yan, and people still hold on to that because of the Peter Yan situation. And I never understood it. I probably never will understand it, but people call me a casual, so what of it? Aljo beat Calvin Kattar, who looked very slow, very, very fucking slow. Aljo just essentially did what Aljo does, got on his back, wrestled him to death, and Calvin Kattar could not figure out how to stop him. Kayla Harris making her debut inside of the octagon, inside of the UFC UFC octagon, taking on the boxing legend, the woman that stopped Ronda Rousey back in her day. She tapped Holly Holm and may, because of her appearance, may bring Amanda Nunes back out of retirement. So we may see a Kayla Harris versus Amanda Nunes pretty soon. Diego Lopez. If it wasn't for this nigga, and obviously this nigga, Diego Lopez probably has knockout of the night or even performance of the night, because he knocked this man out fairly quickly. I damn near missed it, mind you. A lot of this I watched. I watched from the Figgy fight all the way to the Alex fight because the card was just that phenomenal. So I damn near missed this one. And yeah, Diego Lopez. He's one of them ones, man. Jalen Turner. Oh, brother. This fucking guy. He had a chance to beat Moicano and walked away, tried to put O'Malley, knocked him down while Cotto was out on his back. But instead of, doing what you do, what you're trained to do, is when you knock someone down, get on and bow, and end it. He walked away and left him and then ended up getting his ass beat. Oh, Turner. Oh, man. Shut up, Moicano. Jessica Andrade wins her match. Bobby Green decimated Jim Miller, and he's still fighting. I don't know why. Jim Miller, I'm very surprised he did not call it quits after that. But yeah, Jim Miller looked bad against. Well, let me not say look bad. He just looked slow. Bobby was just on a whole other level. And Bobby also called out Paddy Pimblett. I bet you forgot about him. So that's probably going to happen sooner rather than later. And then the fight that kicked off the show, Figgy has made his bantamweight debut and looked just as good, if not better, as he made Cody Garbrandt tap with a rear naked choke. And that will do it, folks. That's all she wrote. UFC 300 was fucking phenomenal. Now, all troll or whatever aside, I generally do think this was the best card ever. Like, I know a lot of people are throwing certain cards, UFC 200, the card where where Connor won double champ, as a bunch of other cards where GSP came back and beat by Michael Bisping. There are phenomenal moments and phenomenal cards as a whole, that you can say really, really stacks up to this. So you can even make an argument this was better. But in all honesty and all trolling aside, I wholeheartedly believe that this is the best UFC card I've ever seen in my life. I don't think there'll ever be another card to top this type of a card, literally from start to finish. Again, really was only one boring fight, and I say boring loosely. It was just niggas just don't like Aljo. The Aljo fight was the only boring fight. The only boring fight. Other than that, damn near every other fight had some type of a big moment in it, or it was just exciting from start to finish. From early prelims all the way to the very fucking main event. And you rarely see that from any type of a card, let alone a big monumental card as big as a UFC 300, the 300th event in UFC history. So it's hard. It's really, again, it's definitely, in my humble opinion, it's definitely top 5. It's definitely a top 5 card. I don't think it can be anything less than that. I think for me, it's number 1. But let me know what you guys think. Is UFC 300 the best UFC card ever? Was it the best card you've ever seen? If you don't think it's the best, let me know what you guys think is. And with that being said, we have other cards to discuss that have potential to be just as big, if not bigger, than UFC 300. Now, I talked about the Charles Oliveira fight earlier, obviously. I talked about the Charles Oliveira fight earlier and how one man was the number 1 contender, that man being Charles Oliveira. He was essentially the number 1 contender for Islam, but because he lost, the man who just came off of a knockout win against Benet Saint-Denis, Dustin Poirier, steps in, and we're having Dustin versus Islam. Finally in the fucking United States. Holy shit. I know a lot of but a lot of the Makhachevs and the Khabibs and even Ankalaev, I know a lot of the fucking time they want to go fight in their home country, and that is fine. But even Islam, to a certain degree, it seems like this man never fights in the U.S. at all, especially ever since he's gotten the title. I believe this is probably the first time I've seen him fight in the United States with this belt. Because holy shit, I just have to go on that quick little rant. But this is going to be in New York, New Jersey, New York, New Jersey. So yeah, Dustin versus Islam for the lightweight title, and also the co-main being Sean Strickland versus Special Juice Paulo Costa. And even looking at the rest of this card it's cool. Looking at the rest of this card is cool. But obviously, with the two main fights a lot of people are going to see is obviously the main and the co-main event. So, obviously, the biggest thing with Islam is his wrestling. But even then, if people who don't even watch the UFC like that no more, aren't really in tune with the UFC like that no more, and just see Islam and just think, oh, he's just a Khabib 2.0. He's just a Khabib 2.0. He's, dare I say, better than Khabib. Dare I say a little bit better than Khabib. I don't want to say wrestling-wise he's better. I still think Khabib would be a little bit better of a wrestler. But what separates Islam from Khabib is that his ability to stand with these strikers, his ability to be able to actually hold his own against the Dustin Poirier. Obviously, the wrestling is going to be a big factor. And obviously, if Dustin wants to win this fight, he's going to have to somehow, some way, I'm not even going to say neutralize his wrestling ability, just not be dominated on the ground as much. That's going to be the biggest thing for Dustin if he even wants to think about winning this fight, let alone be competitive in this fight. He's going to have to neutralize his wrestling because obviously, as we see with grappling, it all favors in Islam, no questions asked. And even if we look at significant strikes or just striking in general, Islam is no slouch. He can hold his own against some of the best. Hell, that was the way he beat fucking Charles for the title. He damn near knocked out Charles and ended him and made him tap. The man that has the most submissions, mind you, in UFC history, he stood with him, hit him with a right hook, and made him tap. That's it's quite impressive. It's quite damn near impressive. And even just looking at submission is the most percentage you could have Islam winning by. I would imagine that Dustin is going to be a very, very, very big underdog in this fight. And Islam, some people can say that he probably won't lose this fight for a very, very, very long time. Or won't lose this belt for a very, very long time. And it's hard to argue against that because of the simple fact that he has the wrestling, but he also has the ability to stand with some of these top tier strikers. I'm not saying he's better than Dustin on the feet. I wouldn't go that far. But just his ability to hold his own against said strikers. I'm just saying, man. Again, come fight time, we obviously will see. Again, barring any injury, I hope both these fighters will be well rested and fully healthy. And I hope and pray that we don't have no, weight issues or anything like that, no last minute pullouts or anything like that. I really hope this fight happens because I want to see, top tier talent and top tier fighters at their best at all times. So I really, really do hope this fight happens. It continues to stay this way. June 1st, so literally in 2 months, we'll be getting this fight. So yeah, this will be very interesting. As of right now, I'm leaning towards Islam though. However, again, with Islam, the thing about him is that yes, he has the ability to stand with great strikers like a Dustin Poirier, like a Volkanovski, like a Charles Oliveira. But the thing is, he doesn't even have to be great on the feet. But his ability to be decent enough to where he can hold his own on the feet, but just knowing that if I really want to, knowing that no matter who I fight or who I'm up against, whether it be a Dustin Poirier, whether it be a Volkanovski twice, or whether it being a fucking Charles Oliveira, they can't fuck with me on the ground. And that's always going to be in the back of his head. And that's always going to be in the back of his head. And so forth and so forth and so forth, no matter who he fights going forward. So, nevertheless, this should be an entertaining fight. This should be one of the fight for the ages. And also, this fight has also another ability to be one of the best fights of the year, fight of the night, fight of the year, whatever the case may be. Paulo Costa versus Sean Strickland, former middleweight champion Sean Strickland, who's trying to get that belt back. I think, honestly, if Sean wins this fight, I think you give him another shot. Honestly, I like wholeheartedly, I believe that if Sean wins this fight, you give him back to DDP because Izzy is not showing any sign of trying to get back at DDP. Obviously, him and Drakus have their issues, and they're gonna fight one way or another. They're gonna fight regardless. But I really don't think you have to have that fight before the belt. I really don't think you have to have that fight before the belt. I think that fight, regardless, is going to happen, whether it's for the middleweight title or whether it's just because them niggas just generally do not fuck with each other. And I think that, again, that fight is going to happen regardless. In my humble opinion, I think that it will. With that being said, however, if Drake is still champion, if Izzy and Drake does not happen, which I don't think it will, Sean versus Costa, I'm leaning towards more Costa, leaning towards more Sean, even though Costa, the power that this man has within his fist, this nigga is legit. The guy is fucking legit. Obviously, coming off a loss against Robert Whitaker, and then obviously last time he lost was against DDP. These two are some of the best strikers in the game. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's any type of wrestling involved with this. The biggest thing for Sean is that he has the accuracy, he has the ability to land shots, is that his power is damn near non-existent. The thing is with Costa, he has similar accuracy, not as much as Sean, but his power is damn near nuclear. Probably the strongest in all of the middleweight in terms of just striking ability, in terms of power. He's probably the strongest. I think it is. I wouldn't say probably, he is the strongest. So a couple good rights from him gonna put you to sleep, but what's gonna take him maybe 2, it's gonna take him like 10. So I would lean towards Sean in this fight just for the case, because again, I think Sean is the better fighter. I think Sean has the better defense also with that Philly shell that fighters just for some reason cannot get past. And also I just don't think Costa's at that championship level anymore, sadly. But that's just me. Again, I'm leaning towards the favorites, I would assume, in these two situations. Obviously, the money bets aren't out yet because UFC 301 hasn't even happened yet. So, but I would assume that Islam would be the heavy favorite in this fight, and I would assume that Sean, I wouldn't say heavy favorite, but Sean would probably be the favorite in his fight as well. Now, as we look back to more events and even a fight night that got announced, which is also gonna be pretty fucking entertaining. We have Khamzat Chimaev finally getting back into the ring, and I keep saying ring, getting back into the octagon. The last time we seen him fight was against Kamaru Usman, and he won. Robert Whitaker, again, the last time we seen him fight was against Paulo Costa, and he won. So I would assume, this would be some type of a main event. I mean, not main event. Number one contenders, maybe. Fingers crossed. Because with DDP, he has depending on who wins this fight, and depending on who wins the Sean Strickland fight. If Sean wins, he's most likely in line for a rematch. Let's say Rob wins, we might see DDP versus Rob. If Khamzat wins, probably next time we see Khamzat fight will probably be him versus Izzy, and that might be the true number one contenders fight. But even then, I think you still try to make that Drakus and Izzy fight happen regardless. Even though, again, I still think that fight is going to happen regardless. And that fight is so big and so, so much bad blood in it that you don't need the belt to make that fight happen. But another fight that doesn't need the belt at all, man. Conor, the notorious McGregor, is finally making his way back to the octagon after teasing for many moons, many months, damn near felt like years, felt like 6 years we've seen this nigga, and he's been teasing even after the Ultimate Fighter when these two were coaching, and this nigga wasn't there all the time, and this nigga was, and his team got like shut out, and I believe they only won like one fight, and Chandler won every single other fight. Yeah, man, Conor McGregor is finally headed back to the octagon. And this is going to be a fun fucking fight. Again, this card right here needs a hard co-main event. So again, and it's also not that far away. June is in no longer than like 2 months away. Like the end of June is 2 months away. So Tom Aspinall, Alex Pereira and Tom Aspinall as the co-main, or what was the other co-main that I said? If you want to do Max versus Ilia Topuria as the co-main event, or fuck it, put them all on to 303. Let's make 303 just as big as fucking 300 because Conor McGregor's coming back. Fuck it, man. Let's make every main card fight a title fight because I don't give a damn at this point. I just really want to see this fight. Conor has agreed and said, yeah, I'm ready. Chandler's been ready for what feels like forever. And finally, I'm happy to see these two actually able to just get this shit over with. More than anything, I'm just ready to see them get this shit over with, man. I'm ready to see these niggas fight so we can move on, so Chandler can move on and go fight whoever the fuck else you want to go fight. And Conor, if he stays or God forbid Conor retires, but if you want to stay and go, Max even called him out. Please, Conor, don't go fight Max. Max will actually kill this man. But everyone wants to count on Conor McGregor because just his name alone, this guy's name alone is going to draw money. And I'm not gonna lie, a Conor McGregor and Max Holloway. I don't know, man. Now that I'm thinking about it, I kind of want to see it. Even though that shit would be so lopsided and Max would evidently beat the shit out of Conor McGregor, I kind of want to see it just for the hell of it. Because you know what I'm saying? Fuck it. Why not? But that is all the future cards that we have going forward for UFC this summer. Again, man, what a time to be a mixed martial art fan, let alone a UFC fan. Let me know you guys' opinions and thoughts on all these future cards. Let me know you guys' predictions. Who you think wins between Islam and Dustin, Sean and Paul. Even with Conor and Chandler, I'm gonna say Chandler wins, but in my heart, I want Conor McGregor to win because that would just be so cool. But nevertheless, let me know you guys' opinion again or your thoughts on UFC 300. Where do you have this card ranked all time? Do you think it's the best ever? Do you think it's just top 5? Do you think it's just top 10? Or do you think it was Let me know you guys' opinions down in the comments down below. Let me know your thoughts on all the future cards and maybe even future fights that you would like to see going forward for this summer or the rest of this year, period. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I am your gracious host, Jalen, and this has been the LaserCast. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week, great rest of your day. And I'm going to see y'all come basketball time, baby. It's almost playoffs. Yes, sir. The play-in, I think it's tomorrow, as I'm recording this, is Tuesday. Play-in starts tomorrow. I'm probably not going to do predictions on the play-in because who gives a shit on the play-in? But let the playoffs come, baby. I'm going to be right there with it, man. Hope you all enjoyed. I'm Jalen. I'm out. Time to go edit. Bye.